Hi, this is Conrad Zimmerman of FistShark Marketing. If you're a fan of the show, we hope you'll help support it with a small monthly contribution through Patreon. For less than the price of a dangerous drug or alcohol addiction, you can help us to keep demonstrating what rock bottom really looks like. Just visit patreon.com/fistshark or click the big Patreon button at fistshark.com for more details. And thanks for listening.
And that's basically the general premise. Obviously, it involves the use of children, which I don't know if they're ethically, medically, physically cleared for Olympic competition. But what's important is that they're killing each other so that their sector can have food.
Well, I think it's about standardization.
Yeah.
Because it can be very, very... You're operating a team, and you can't treat them as individuals because they're still, they're children, so they have to be viewed as equipment.
Yeah.
That's where it gets tricky. I like the idea, but we may have to find something else.
The potential of marrying the Olympics to the Hungry Games, it just works for me.
Right. No, I understand, but it's It's a minefield. It's just a regulatory minefield.
Okay, I tell you what. Let's pencil it down.
Right.
It's not set in stone. We won't bring it to the pitch explicitly, but it's in the pocket if we really need a dazzler.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. So what have we got so far? I mean, I still think we should open with synchronized Tony Danza.
You want to put one out there that you know has no chance whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, I still think, okay... I don't think the Iceland team will have much reference to go on, but, it's one the Americans would win.
Is that so? There's Tony Danza, There he is, and then everyone else just needs to be him?
Well, to be honest, when I pitched that, I was banking on people not analysing it too much. I think that one falls apart under scrutiny. I was kind of hoping if I pitched that one out quickly, the Olympics Commission would just red stamp it and say, that's fine. Do they use a red stamp at the Olympics?
I think it's a whole process of, people sign here, signature here, initial here.
Or maybe their stamp is, 5 different coloured rings. But then I don't know how that would work with the ink.
Some people are sloppy. And you wind up with one of those rings off center, and it throws the whole thing out of bounds.
How about synchronized mass guess how the Olympics Commission decide on what sports to go on the Olympics? I mean, I realize I'm just putting the word synchronized in front of other concepts, but I get the feeling that's how you come up with sports.
Is that really a sport?
Yes, you can compete in it. You can win or you can lose. You either are right or wrong, so therefore... there's anything... And the world is open to any opportunity to tell someone they're worse than you. So anything we can do to give people that opportunity, especially if there's hashtags involved and there's counts, any sort of counting.
At the same time, is it a sport people are invested in? I actually don't think anybody cares how the Olympic Commission comes up with the sports.
I got bored of wondering halfway through my last sentence.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think there's going to be many people want to tune in and watch that one. Mugging, on the other hand,
that is a sport. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All you need to do is have a good alley somewhere in the city that you can work with.
Oh yeah, we'll have the entire run of the city.
Lightly trafficked. There's got to be a population there, but it's got to be, moderate at best. And we have to set up cameras, because this is one of those field exercises. It just simply would not work with a live audience, but it's perfect for broadcast television because it can be edited. And since here in the United States, NBC is going to be controlling all broadcasts of the Olympics, and in doing so, not broadcasting any of the events live, but reserving them for primetime hours during American viewing, they'll have plenty of opportunity to sort of splice it together to achieve maximum drama.
I'd be very excited to watch competitive mugging. My question comes, do we have each nation's team consist of a mugger and a victim, and then it's best mugging? Or is it a representative from every nationality trying to mug each other?
See, now I was thinking it would just be representatives of each nationality mugging completely unaware citizens.
Oh, that's a game changer right there, in that it changed the game. And I like it.
Sure, but people absolutely hate those random elements that can make it seem unfair. That's why they're so against doping or any sort of rain games. If it rains, they stop these games. What if you are mugging someone whom is just particularly good at fighting, and then it turns into an unfair scenario where the Japanese mugger is not able to mug as much as he normally would because his victim was actually adept at physical combat.
Well, choosing the right victim is, that's part of the mugging process.
Exactly. It's a game of strategy and chance to some extent. You never know when the wind might suddenly gust up unexpectedly and throw your arrow off course in archery, right? Same deal.
In many ways, mugging is the archery of crime.
I agree completely. It's about timing. It's about choosing when and where to strike at a target. It's about being able to read the victim to not just maximize your likelihood of success, but to maximize value.
And to pierce the victim, I suppose. Those are the piercing sports, archery and knife crime mugging.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Paulson. Actually, do you mind if I call you Paul instead of Paulson?
Paul. Yeah, I suppose you could call me that.
So I knew a Paulson, and I don't know, he played keyboards or something. Anyway, do they do anything with Lego at the Olympics?
Well, there is the Leg Olympics, which is just a series of legs competing in things with the rest of the body's covered. I always assumed there was Legos there, but I haven't actually watched it myself due to my severe phobia of all legs, so I can't say with certainty. I think that there could be.
There could be, but there may not be. Lego swallowing. How many can you eat? Win a medal.
Like a Lego eating contest.
Kind of, yeah. But not in a tacky county fair way. This isn't going to be like that scene in Stand By Me.
With the pies.
With the pies. A hilarious scene, but not classy. Not like the Olympics. For fuck's sake.
How does the game function?
I don't know. You're asking a lot of questions, Conrad.
Well, it's an intriguing idea of eating a whole bunch of Legos, but does everyone have, obviously everyone has the same Legos? Are these like branded sets? Like, is there an Olympic branded set of Legos that will be able to sell after the Olympic Games that contains all of the pieces that the competitors were eating?
So that you could swallow them at home?
Exactly.
Okay.
See, I'm trying to find another revenue stream out of this, because I love where you're going with this, and that's what's going to impress the Olympic Committee, is another opportunity to license more product and therefore create more revenue.
Plus, I would finally have an avenue to sell Lego lube. I've never had that chance. I've been sitting on that for 3 years.
What's different about Lego lube as opposed to just your average oil or slippery substance?
You put this on Legos.
So these aren't edible Legos. You got to get them to slide all the way down your gullet, just using willpower, using saliva, and
FistShark patented Lego lube.
I don't mind the idea. In fact, I like the idea, but lube is often associated with something other than swallowing the food. Or ingesting things.
I mean, let's really focus for a moment on the Lego lube, which I have decided is a far better idea than pitching Olympic Games ideas. Once you lube up your Lego, you don't have to swallow it. There's a lot you can do with a greasy green brick.
Go on.
You could, for example, fashion yourself a pair of shoes out of Lego. Build the bricks around your feet, a splash of Lego lube, and then you're sliding down the street when you want to pick up some chops from the butchers.
I think we've all been there, where we've had a Lego or something made of Lego in a place that made it difficult to remove. And a little bit of Lego lube would have come in handy. Like, we've certainly all been there. I
for the want
understand.
of some Lego lube.
Yeah.
Right? That's a classic phrase that has probably been said by a person before.
Lego is about sticking Legos together, and lube is about things not sticking together, and in fact sliding away from a connection. It's also not the most marketable name. It needs more alliteration, like La Lego Lube or Leg Lube. Leg Lube, perhaps.
I'm offended. I'm offended, Paul. Lego Lube has just enough alliteration and just the right amount of syllables. I've focus tested this. The kids love Lego Lube. It makes Lego more fun. Try and catch that Lego. Or what if you've had Lego that's been stuck together for a while, or like one of those like really little flat bits of Lego with the gloss finish on top and no other purchase on it, and you've stuck that to one of the flat green large bits, the rectangles, and that's dead center. Now, ordinarily, you've either got to hope that you're not a nail biter and you can try and get some leverage onto there, or otherwise get a knife. And that's a dangerous situation. With a squirt of Lego lube, that thing will just pop right off.
It won't just be a lubed up piece of two Legos together? It pops right off? Just
probably. Probably, yes. I mean, this is high quality lubrication.
So high quality that it just parts things that were together. It sounds like it's got that ability to keep things from sticking together.
It's the ultimate lube. I mean, this will split cells. This goes down to the atomic level.
I think that's technically acid at that point. When you're that the opposite of binding, which I think is separating. When you have that capacity to keep things separate, that it actually rots away atoms.
Really?
You're no longer a lube. You're something more.
Okay. That would explain why we ended up with a lot of melted Lego and hands during focus testing. So what you're saying is I don't have a lubricant so much as I have an acid. I have a corroding agent.
Well, it seems that things will slip off of things once they are melted off of them. Yes,
but it will destroy the Lego. Thinking back on it, that I have sat on this idea for 3 years, knowing that it melts Lego, is a bit foolish on my part because I just wanted some slidey Lego, and also acid doesn't alliterate with Lego. Lego acid isn't good. And I don't think there's a brick-based toy that begins with the letter A.
Scanning my mind. No.
There's
nothing. Mega blocks. There's
nothing.
Yeah. Well, I guess we got to run with it then. I mean, how could we not?
I mean, I'm committed now. But before we put this one to bed, can I just say how proud I am of all of us that not once did we mention Lego going up anyone's arse. I'm not saying we can't find him work. I'm just saying I don't see a point in him as a concept. What's his use?
I mean, he's kind of good looking. He's got that sort of ruggish everyman thing.
So does everyone.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. I mean, there's a lot of people who can do it, although they aren't as old as he is, and there is something about, a man as he gets older, his value only increases. Nothing like women, where once they reach a certain point, they become completely valueless to everybody.
But there are a lot of old men already, so I mean, he's not...
We're not in a deficit of old men.
Yeah.
As old as he is and as white as he is, I mean, there's a lot of him to go around, and at the end of the day, we're just stuck with David Duchovny, and we're thinking, why you, of all people? What can you do? The X-Files credits run out.
If the X-Files could somehow come back, then maybe. I mean,
That's the problem. I mean, it did, and now it's gone again. And now we've got another David Duchovny we can't offload. I mean, we got rid of him for 6 months while they were shooting that. Now he's back.
Just standing there in the corner.
Just stood there. I mean, we've tried various applications of David Duchovny. We've been using him as a paperweight, a draft excluder, just anything an inanimate object could do that David Duchovny could do. Which, I mean, there's some crossover there, but even then he's limited. It doesn't help the man gets bored.
No. Admittedly, his attention span for this kind of work is far beyond that of any human. And
I mean, you couldn't get me to be a paperweight for more than 5 minutes.
He'll do it seemingly happily for longer than I would inflict it on Craig.
Yeah, I mean, a month at least he can sit on a stack of paper. And
right.
To be fair to the man, the paper ain't going nowhere.
But he has a really long memory, and he doesn't like doing the same thing over and over again, you know? It was such an arm twist to get him to agree to do the X-Files again in the first place, because he was like, why can't I do something original? I've already been Moldy Fox. I don't need to do any more X-Files. And I was like, listen, mate, all right? I can't have you doing shit around the office around here anymore. You're skeezing everybody out. Just go take a job somewhere.
Yeah, just do something. David Duchovny, do something. Like, I don't want to turn around and have a 40% chance of seeing you stood there with your hands in your pockets saying, sup. Because you're bored. And we're all bored of you. Because we don't know what you do.
Well, you know, I studied psychology in college, so I learned a thing or two about boredom, and people are only bored if they have potential beyond what they're doing. That boredom is like an itch to do more. When you hand a stack of papers to someone who is completely in over their head, they may be stressed out, but they're not going to be bored as they look at those papers and file them away.
I hear that. I hear what you're saying, but it's not as though David Duchovny doesn't put the effort in, or that he isn't trying, you know, or that this stuff is really beneath him. He prepares for every one of these jobs to a tremendous degree. I mean, you know, it's just to be a paperweight. He spent 3 weeks alone in a room with a paperweight trying to get into its head.
Just following it around in its daily routine of sitting there doing nothing, of which he proved adequately skilled. It is one of his best things is to sit around doing... You know, he wants to be a voice actor. He wants to do voice acting. He did a brief stint of it in the early 2000s for those computerized games that the children enjoy so much. And that David Duchovny, the voice actor, is David Duchovny with the point removed.
I mean, it's the ability to see him.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best bit. Really, the only feature of David Duchovny is the fact he's visible.
When light hits him, it reflects back.
Yeah, and decently so.
Right.
But, you know, I mean, when he released The Many Faces of David Duchovny, I mean, as an art book, its appeal was already limited, but the fact it was the same photo with different emotions written underneath.
Oh, no. Those were all different photos.
What?
Yeah.
His expression of joy and his expression of fury, both hot and cold, are all the same.
They look exactly the same, but no, he would stop and he would, you know, have a drink of water, and then he'd get into position again and he'd take another picture. And I mean, it took him like 6 weeks just to get all those photos together, yeah.
Working by that logic, I guess he's always been a voice actor. Because he's not doing it with his body or face. He may as well not be there. I mean, that's true of any project he's been in, to be honest. David Duchovny may as well just not be there.
I think you're overlooking how wonderful of a vessel David Duchovny is for all your thoughts, feelings, hopes, and dreams. He is so devoid of content, of actual substance himself, that you can be in David Duchovny if you only stare and try to imagine being in his skin.
I tried being in David Duchovny. It was a very boring night.
Oh, well, that's you. You are a man of many
I
adventures.
want feedback, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
You know, tell me if I'm doing well, if I'm not doing well. Move. Breathe.
Right, yeah.
Do something.
So for you, being inside David Duchovny was a chore and a bore, but other people, they may want to be David Duchovny. They may actually want to be in his skin.
David Duchovny doesn't want to be David Duchovny. That's why he's an actor, nominally.
But to channel that, to channel that everyday, everyman, regular, normal person, everyone just wants to be normal. Everyone wants to be regular. So we could sell them actual David Duchovny skins to wear, so they could feel normal again. Finally feel like your average guy, just sewn up in David Duchovny's naked skin.
Well,
suit.
I mean, he does shed a lot, and that would give us something to do with them rather than throw them out.
And he wrote a book once about baseball. Everybody wants to do that. So just put his skin on and get writing.
Of course he wrote a sport about the most normal sport.
Could you be any more dull? That's it, isn't it? He's just dull.
He's the human equivalent of the blank paper we make him sit on.
So, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal with the skull in the lobby?
There is a skull in the lobby. I can't deny that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely there. It's right in the middle of the lobby. That's the skull we're thinking about, right? It's not a different skull, because you never know.
Skull,
you never know.
The one in the middle of the lobby.
The one that just sits there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What's that skull doing there in the lobby?
Well, that's what I was wondering.
I think that was ostensibly the meat of Conrad's question.
Right.
Oh.
And really, your question, Paul, only serves to highlight the fact that we don't know why there's a skull in the lobby.
So none of us know? Nobody here knows? In the building?
I mean, I got some ideas, but I don't explicitly know why that skull is in that lobby. I also don't know why people can't approach it. There seems to be something repellent around it so that you can't get near the skull. Otherwise, I think someone would have picked it up by now.
It's a good looking skull. That's the other thing. It seems odd that no one. I mean, you wouldn't leave a skull like that just behind.
Not a skull of
right?
that quality. No. Very minimal damage, clean, but not overly bleached. So it's got it's got an age to look to it, but one that's hardy, as close as I can get to it. I've checked it out with a couple of experts, and we can't find any cracks, any blemishes on it. I think that would go for several groats at a covered market.
Is it definitely a human skull, though? Because I guess that was my concern. I thought that maybe a baboon or perhaps a very, very well-shaped dolphin might have died in our area, and it was just left to rot.
Just washed up at the lobby. I mean, we get... I see where you're coming from. We do get a lot of washed up sea mammals in the lobby, which is weird because the building's not near any known beach. To say nothing of the baboon attacks that we deal with here and there, but it's not really the season for either of those things. So, drawing from my knowledge, my education, which mostly consists of rifling through the Ladybird Big Book of Skulls that we have in the waiting room, I've matched it up to what I consider to be at least a 90% chance of this being a genuine human skull.
Human? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, could an outside chance belong to an elf, but that's very difficult to ascertain due to the fictional nature of elves.
But it hasn't always been there, right? Like it is. I'm not crazy. or something, and I've just been overlooking a skull in the middle of the lobby for years and years, and then, because that can happen. You get so sort of accustomed to a place after a point that you completely forget the details exist.
Well, I mean, unless a glamour had been cast upon it by a trio of mages 3, born a villain 10, I have no recollection of the skull prior to a few days ago, and
okay.
I am led to believe that this is a new fixture in the lobby.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure, because that can happen, right? And how embarrassing would that be if I make a big deal out of the skull, and it's like, oh, that thing, oh, that's been there forever.
Yeah. If I'm quite honest, I'd like the skull out of there. There's a place and a time for skulls, and it's not in a black and grey marbled lobby.
No.
Not with the glass interior. That is a style clash and a complete disregard for the feng shui that goes on in there.
Well, I hear you. I tried to move the skull, and I just kind of moved around it.
Exactly.
My body did.
Like two opposite ends of a magnet. It doesn't work. Or is it the other way around? They're not opposite ends of a... I failed magnets in college.
Yeah, that's right. So two charged parts of a magnet do not touch. You need opposite ends, which has me thinking that maybe we could get close to that skull if we used magnet logic to get something attracted to it.
So what you're saying is we should get Craig in here and make that fucker eat a handful of magnets.
Well, if magnets are what is the opposite of skulls, we need to figure out opposite of skulls, and then that should, in theory, using science, attract the skull, and then we can use that to get the skull out of the building. So,
Doris, what's the opposite of skulls? Is it magnets? What? You think it's heads with skin on still? I don't think that's the opposite of a skull. No, because then you'd be like saying the opposite of a car is a car that a man is driving. Or the opposite of a shoe is a shoe with a foot in. No, Doris, you're putting things outside of things. No, the opposite of an egg isn't an egg with the egg juice in it. It's not even egg juice. Put the egg... I don't want an egg. You sell them on your own time, Doris. I don't care. I'm not the one who brought the chickens in. You bastard. Doris was no help.
FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling, Conrad Zimmerman, and Paulson Sear. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alazar Chand. Our editor is Alan Smithy. Get more episodes and learn how to support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, if at first you don't succeed, reinterpret the data to say that you did. Goodbye.